ourselves is, what does it all mean? Why am I here? Why was I born? Why do I exist? What does it all mean? Where am I going with my life? What is my purpose? I think every single person in this room has asked themselves, what is my purpose? What's my direction? We've had people who've had a lot of things to say about what we should do and where we should go. We've had dreams and we've had to change course because of so many factors I can't even mention. But today we're lucky to have Q Malewezi to share his bit of wisdom on meaning and purpose and how we can use meaning and purpose to build better mental health. So a round of applause for Q Malewezi, everybody. All right. Welcome, Q.
Thank you. I thought this was going to be a Q&A. See what I did?
Oh, it's haha.
Yes.
Yes, we're assuming one of your purposes is to make jokes.
Tell that to my wife.
Dad jokes.
No, it's not a dad joke. I can tell you the dad. No. Meaning and purpose. Oh, phone call, sorry. That's a big one. To start with, I'm not here to teach. I'm just here to share the difficulties, the complexities. I don't think this is a space where anyone can, say, I've got it all figured out. And we can only share our experiences, the things that we've learned. And I guess that's what I'm here to do. So I think in terms of meaning and purpose, personally for me, it's been a journey. I'd say my journey has been finding myself in that meaning and purpose and then losing myself and then finding myself again. And it's been that cycle. So I don't know if it's the same for all of you, where you think you know, and then something happens, or you grow, or you have an experience and you realize, no, I'm just another lost, broken individual. And then you have a sense that you found yourself again and you found these things. After some time, those things that you thought were meaningful or that purpose just vanishes. And you have to find those things again. And I think for me, that's how it's been when I look at my craft from when I was young. To start with, I thought I would be a professional ballroom dancer. No, facts.
It's a beautiful dream.
No, I was dancing. And then, the person I was dancing with happened to be someone I was dating, and then we broke up. And then meaning and purpose got lost. Because of a breakup. And then found that in something else, found that in music. And for those who know, I invested a lot of time and resources into music. Is what I studied. 2 degrees in music. I worked professionally in the UK, and then something happened. I lost my passion and purpose for music. I just abandoned and left everything in the UK. Came back in 2005 because of a breakdown, and then poetry. So found that it's still there, but it's the writing is also evolving. So pretty much, I think. We have to be comfortable with losing ourselves and then finding ourselves, and that cycle, and that is the journey. We might not necessarily know that one thing is, because for some, maybe who are lucky, it might be that one thing from the beginning all the way maybe to the end. For people, it might be a whole bunch of things. So I think it's just about being comfortable and being okay with that cycle of finding purpose and meaning. And sometimes I think these are things also that we have to create for ourselves, especially when you experience loss. You find that we try to find meaning. Why did this person die? Why did this happen? And sometimes when we attach a meaning, it might not be the truth, but sometimes when you attach a meaning and a purpose to why that happened, it makes it better, maybe to cope. So sometimes maybe it's not about faith or do you believe or you don't, but maybe belief, that's the role of belief. That belief makes the process of grieving easier. And everybody wants that process to be easier. And if belief does that, maybe that's the meaning and purpose of belief. It might be something else. It might be philosophy. It might be something else different for everyone. But I think end of the day, for me personally, it's losing myself and finding myself, and being comfortable with that cycle as I move forward. So yeah.
Wow, thank you. So how would one be able to tell the difference or demarcate between a lack of focus and allowing yourself to go through the cycle of losing yourself and finding yourself?
I think it's awareness. I'll speak as an artist, as a writer, and maybe an experience that if there's other writers here that they may find, which is writer's block. So I think a lot of times people will fight writer's block or they think that it's something funny. But with awareness, you understand that what writer's block is, and I think the wording is problematic. I think when you experience that, it's a time to sit and listen and take in, because your output is only as good as your input, right, Rich? Yeah. He's been on my case. Because I need to take a holiday. I need to take a break because I'm burning out. But it's complicated. So I think awareness, that self-awareness, knowing what's going on inside you, will make that process easier. And you know that this is something that's temporary. I will find it eventually. For the writers, it's sometimes when you start writing, you don't know how what you're writing is going to end, but you trust the process that you are going to get to the end and have, a kick-ass ending. Yeah. I think one of the best stories I heard was when you're driving to Blantyre at night, you don't necessarily have to see all the way to Blantyre. You don't need your headlights to show all the way to Blantyre. But you trust that with every 200 meters, depending on how strong your headlights are, that every 200 meters or so, your headlights are going to unfold in another 200 meters. And that's 200 meters, all the way to 300 and something kilometers, and you will get to your destination. And I think a lot of us sometimes will get paralyzed by the daunting distance or because we cannot see the destination. But the most important thing is just to start on whatever journey it is, whether it's a journey of healing, if you've gone through something traumatic, you just need to take the first step. And eventually, you might get there. I can't guarantee that you'll get there. But the most important thing is just to start. And it gets easier, I guess, with time, hopefully. Nothing is guaranteed. Yeah.
Now, being a multi-talented person yourself, evidently, what would you say to the multi-talenteds? Those who are jacks of all trades, but perhaps not masters of none, not masters of one. What advice would you tell them to go for it? Would you tell them to start with one thing? In terms of, because the word direction, we hear the word direction in Malawi a lot. A young person needs direction. A young person needs direction. But we also do have a lot of young people who just happen to be good at many things, and they want to do many things. And as someone who loves to do many things or has tried a lot of things and has been successful, how would you encourage such a person?
To start with, there's no such thing as balance. That's one thing that a lot of us struggle with, the issue of focus. But I'll say do it all. Do it all. Don't be fearful. When I was when I went to do my A-levels, our class teacher was this lady. Her name was Carol Ashman. And I remember to this day, the first day, what she said. She said, "Welcome to the school. There's many things here on offer. So whether you're artistic, you sports or academics," and she said, "Live everything. Don't say this is my thing, this is not my thing. Try everything, because you never know what your thing might actually be." So for those people who feel they've got different callings, you don't have to have one. As you're sitting there, you're many things. You are someone's child, you might be someone's parent, you're someone's brother, someone's sister. So we're all, as we exist, we all have these multiple roles that we're playing. But when it comes to passion or career, we try to limit ourselves as just one thing. At the same time, but we've got this capability of being all these things. So the question is, why not? Why do we act as if those two things are not transferable? The different roles that we play in life, why can't those be the different things that you do in life? So the narrative, sometimes we need to get to a stage where we question some of the things with which we think are general wisdom. Even the things that I'm saying now, just developing that passion of questioning everything is very, very important. Because also, one of the most profound things that I heard is whether an individual or organization will go the direction to which you question. So the kind of questions that we need to pose to ourselves are very important to send us to a direction that we might need to go. So I say do it all, experience everything that there is. If there's an opportunity, go for it. If you've got the energy, do it. Because there's gonna come a time where you don't have the energy, where even what seems to be the easiest thing will feel heavy. Yeah, self-embrace, yeah, we're talking about, yeah. Yeah, some of the things we used to do, even the passion that we had for things 10 years ago, is not really there. Now, I'm a lot safer with the ideas. Yeah. Eleanor is here. We used to dream and just go for it. Now, when kids come into the picture, you're very careful, you want guaranteed things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're young, you've got dreams, try everything. Go for it. Go for it, even when you're old. Yeah.
All right. I just want to add with what Mukasa has been asking, and one of the things that I've picked up is that, say, finding meaning in life and just basically life in general is something that is a process. And the minute we talk about Q life is a process. And all we have to do is keep going and keep going. So, Q has done a lot. I see him as someone who has really contributed a lot for different sectors in Malawi. And for me, what motivates this guy, right? We see this place. He has invested a lot in the young people, in the youth, in arts, in culture. And for me, it's just like I look at it and I'm like, how does he keep going? And what really motivates him? So I would like to hear that, since I have this opportunity to ask the question. I'd like to hear what motivates you, Q. Like what pushes you forward for you to keep on reaching to the next level from where you are, and yeah, I would like to know that.
Magani.
Oh, yeah.
I think for any dreamer, you really have to be stubborn about your dream and be
Delulu.
unapologetic about it, because there's so many things that will tell you that this is not possible in Malawi, or especially like coming from the youth, like, oh, you have to do what here? This is Malawi, that, or if you do, I remember our first offices were in Old Town Mall. She was there, and you know what? It was like, oh, so you're at that Zungu place, constantly, and that's been the story of, that, such is Zungu. That's what they do. So you need Magani. For your dream, you really need to be stubborn about your dream. Yeah, because so many odds are going to be against you. Just as a dreamer, normality will be your biggest enemy. To conform. So you really have to be stubborn. So I don't know if that is inspiration or what keeps me going. It could just be that's who I am. I don't know if. But even I was going to say that I have kept going even at times where I shouldn't. And that has broken me. So I think we also need to have a conversation as, this keep on going business can be very unhealthy. Sometimes you just need to, Yes, Rich.
Yes, staring at me like now. You should not be keeping quiet. Yeah, but it goes back to that self-awareness that, knowing that, okay, if I continue, I will burn out. And burnout for dreamers is something that we really also need to discuss, especially if you're in your area of passion, because what you do might not feel like work, but it is taking a toll on you, on your mind, body, and spirit without knowing.
Yeah, and thank you so much for bringing that up, because that brings us to our next point, which is burnout, kudoba, fatigue, kudoba. A lot of us feel like being tired is normal, that it's just something that you have to feel every day. Waking up tired is something that just happens. You usually don't wake up happy, unless maybe it's on a Saturday or something where you went to the beach and you took a rest. But the constant feeling of being tired all the time is something that a lot of us experience. And before Howard, as you know, as a professional psychosocial counselor, before you touch on this, how do you handle burnout? How do you handle kudoba? Because burnout and kudoba are two different things. They might be transliterated, but being burnt out and saying, I'm so tired, are two different things. So how do you handle being so tired, and how do you handle burnout?
I think before we tackle it, just for the purpose of everyone, just to unpack what burnout is, also known as emotion exhaustion. Maybe Howard, you want to unpack it a little bit more before we get into that, so that we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Q. So when you talk about burnout, we talk about a feeling, the muntu feel kuti ababa zinthu zinde ndisikwanitsa, or can I manage to do this? It's a feeling of overwhelm, like you have so many things on your plate. You're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about home, you're thinking about your work, you're thinking about, so all those things, you reach a point where you're feeling like, I can't do this anymore, you understand? So that is the state that we call burnout. So when a person reaches that state, the body itself, you can feel exhausted, you feel tired, you feel like, your mood is off, and basically umakhala so productive. So yeah, in summary, I can say that's what burnout is.
So I have quite an unhealthy relationship with burnout, just to be honest, because also of circumstances as well. So the times that I really need to take a break to myself, I'm in a situation where I can't say I can't, but I struggle with the feeling of guilt, looking at the roles that I play. For those who know that my wife had a stroke over 2 years ago, so it's not easy for me just to say leave and go somewhere and take that time for myself. Also, my mom is 81. I'm the only child here. There's also a lot of needs and attention that I also need to give her, and everything that the family is doing. So every time I feel like, okay, I need to take time for myself. I was talking to Rich earlier, and then I get this, like 8-minute voice note from, like my mom, talking about some of the struggles and challenges, and then you're just like, okay, I'm younger, I need to be there for her, I need to do this. My kids are asthmatic, and there's been times a week, sometimes it didn't go a week without us having to take my son to the clinic to get nebulized because, asthma. Also because now, my wife's condition, she really can't drive. So me saying, let me take time and, for myself is not as easy as it used to be. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing that can be done about that situation. For me, I think I need to practice more to say no to things.
in the things that I can control. So whether it be the project, an event, or meetings, etc., or being there for other people, taking on meetings. So maybe I need to create more time in terms of my workload, delegate more, possibly, not try to be the person who, I need to manage myself better so that I don't rush myself to burn out every now and then. And sometimes also, just to be honest, to stay a little bit off the whiskey when the burnout is coming.
And please, right? And please notice how he said I need to manage myself, not control myself. We can't control. There are a lot of things that we can't control. We can't even control ourselves most of the time. But the most that we can do is try to manage ourselves. So let's also be aware of that in the brain.
Q has really put it well. I think it's like at some point all of us, I believe, we go through that phase. There's just a lot going on, and I think Makazodi, you just keep on going and going and going, taking on more things. Of course, I'm gonna say this as a man. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say that.
Go ahead.
I'm
with
speaking.
caution.
I've noticed this of most men. I think maybe the ladies wouldn't really know, but I'm just trying to speak for my brothers. So it's mostly something that us men we take on a lot of things, and we don't really talk about it. We don't really put it out there. So you might just see us there, but we're having a lot of things on our minds. So I think one of the major things that we need to do is to really do self-care, what we call self-care. So I feel like self-care is something that most men, especially here in Malawi, this word, we really need it. We need to emphasize it, especially for most men, because I see that we don't put ourselves in those spaces to distress and just to let things go, right? So we tend to keep working and thinking about your kids, you're thinking about home, you're thinking about providing. So it just goes like that in days and weeks and months. It keeps going like that. So I think we need to have that space where you can distress, you can just stop thinking about work and not even involving the whiskey that we're talking about. Not involving that as well. So in that kind of a safe environment. So I think this is something that most men we need to work on, and even me as well, right? I mean, sometimes I do take on more than what I have. And that ends up being a problem because you can do it for, let's say, a day or two, but if it continues like a week, a month, now even the body itself starts showing. So the body itself, you tend to feel, you can feel like you're sick, right? You can feel like you're always tired, you're irritable, or even like getting yourself in arguments. So all those things, Makazuri, you have simply just overworked, right? You need to reach a point where now you're like, okay, I need to take a break. I'll give an example of like my dad. My dad he's one of the people who works hard a lot, right? So he recently took 2 weeks off from his work, and it was something that everybody was surprised because it was like, how is it that you're just home, It's like, we're used to always seeing you going to work every single day. There's no time that we see that you're just home for like a week or two. So I think that is something that we need to deliberate. It's a deliberate action, like what Q is also talking about. That you have to put it into your schedule. You have to put time to say, I'm going to stop the work, and weekend weekend 2 days in a year, I'm just gonna be maybe chatting with friends or doing other activities. And does it and have the weekend, no work. I want to add that in Malawi, I feel like some people have too long working hours, right? Basically, they work more than 8 hours a day, right? I mean, there's a reason why they said it could be 9 to 5. They said it could be 8 hours of work in a day. But you find that 8 hours, you've been to work, you've worked the whole day, you're going home, you're continuing to work.
That sounds familiar. Howard.
I'm giving you the side eye. But yeah, I mean, like, we're working all the time. To at least leave the work and spend some time with family, spend some time with friends, spend some time doing some other thing, write some poetry, compose a song, do something else.
That's weird.
Apart from Q. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's my point. I think.
Yeah, I mean, so to wrap it up before we open the audience, open it up to the audience, I think some of the most important things I've heard is learning to say no. Learning to say no to things that you don't need to be present at. Living is relational. You live in relation to other people and to other beings, but you are also an individual, and you deserve to experience yourself as an individual. Purpose, again, is also relational. So you have roles and responsibilities of people to look after, but those relationships are also reciprocal. They also have roles and responsibilities to look after you. And most important thing is just to be willing and be stubborn enough to lose yourself and find yourself, and lose yourself and find yourself again, and keep going at it and keep going at it, and to hold on to something. Would you like to give us your final thoughts, your punchlines, before we open it up to the audience?
Yeah, I think for the things that I've shared, the things that work, I would like to say those are things that work for me. And it doesn't mean that's how things are supposed to be, or that's what everybody is supposed to be. These are things that work for me. And it's important for every single person to find out their own rhythm, their own cycle, and to listen to that and develop a method or a system that works for you. Because it's very easy to sit here and think that what you say, what you have to share is the standard. No, it's not. If anything, I think these conversations should inspire people to find out their own cycles, to increase their own self-awareness, to find out who you are, how you work, what makes you tick, what you should do, what you should stay away from, etc., etc. So I just wanted to, say that. Thank you.
All right, Howard, any closing remarks before we? Oh no, okay. So we're going to open it up to the audience to ask a few questions. If we have any questions for one of the three of us, well, not the three, but the two. Yes, please, next.
Hi, thank you for that, Crystal. That was, very, very enlightening, very, very useful. I just wanted to pick up on how the talk opened with talking about meaning and purpose. And I'm coming at this from having been in the country for 4.5 years, worked with a lot of different people. And I feel like one of the biggest diseases or malices when we're talking about mental wellness that I've come across in Malawi is the feeling of hopelessness. And so, on the one hand, it's all very well to talk about dreams, and we're always encouraging people to talk about dreams. But when people are faced, especially with financial difficulties, and maybe a lack of information or context and knowing how to further their dreams and do something with those, do you have any advice or strategies for people and how we can kind of manage that within the confines that Malawi sometimes presents individuals with?
Thank you for that. That's a really good question. I think to start with, we have to be very honest and say that to dream and to be in a position where you can follow your dream is a privilege that a lot of people don't have. So, and I say these things also coming from acknowledging the privilege that I come from.
studying music, it's a great, great privilege that a lot of people, most of this country, that they don't have access to the things that I've had access to. So and I'm very aware that when I talk about being stubborn, I forgot to mention that earlier, that I'm saying that from a point of privilege. This is a situation that a lot of people don't have. But still, I think from that awareness, parents always talk about having something to fall back on. Whether it's a situation that parents or your guardians have created for you is one thing. But if you don't have that, then I think what is important is to do your best to make sure that you provide that for yourself. Because it's very, very difficult to dream when you're also relying on the dream to feed you. It's actually impossible. You end up compromising so much. You can't plant today and expect to harvest tomorrow and to eat from that harvest and to sell part of that to make money. It's impossible. You have to do something else to enable you to plant, because cultivation takes time. And as you're waiting for that harvest, you have to make sure that there's something else that is feeding you. There's no formula. I can't say this is what you have to do. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that we have to figure out for ourselves. So we might have to do the non-fun things to enable us to dream. Skefa is one of my favorite artists, and I think the most profound phrase from his song. How many people know it? He alluded to, I can't exactly what he said, but he said, so basically, like, when you make money, when you make the money does not say how it was made. And I think sometimes when you're a dreamer, you want the money to come from the beautiful and fluffy things. When sometimes something that is not creative, not artistic, not fun, can be something that makes you money to enable you to dream. That can be something that you can fall back on. So I'll just encourage you to try to find that something that will sustain you, to put you in a situation where you can pursue your dream. Hopefully something that can make money without you putting the blood, sweat, and tears into it, because you're going to need that for your dream. So I think sometimes when you're a dreamer, you want the beautiful dreams. You want your money to, to be branded as your dream. But when that comes through, it's not going to say this was how it was made. You just need something that's going to work, that will enable you to follow your dream. But it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of figuring out, especially when you're not coming from a position of privilege.
I like those comments that Q has made, especially to do with like finding money and the things that we're doing to get money. Okay? I think money is a very important topic that we don't really talk about. And I mean, I'm looking at the situation where most of us young people in this country have lost their jobs. The whole USAID thing. These past few years, I think have been really challenging for most young people. It's like, it's a different situation when you don't have a job. You got it? Suma Chive. Koma, you lost the job. Yeah, because it's like you're now having to go into unemployment, right? So you had somewhere where you had some place where you knew that I would get money from every month, and then next thing you hear that something has happened in the US, and the USA is gone, and you see all these young people losing their jobs. So, I mean, that's also one of the things that I thought that we should also talk about, is the current situation right now where most young people are unemployed, they are looking for jobs and they're in a space where they don't know what to do. You know, some of what is happening, what is their future going to be like, say maybe in the next 5 years or so, right? We have people that are in school, people that are in university, people that are in secondary, looking forward to entering the industry, but now they're hearing all these things about Chilo. So yeah, I don't know what you think, guys. Like, how can young people say, like, deal with that? Like, what advice would you give?
That's a tough one. So there was a time when I really struggled with this because I lived in a place called Old Naisi in Zomba, and it's very close to a village called Malonje. And I asked one of the young ladies there who had just dropped out of school, "What are your habits?" And she looked at me and she said, "What's a habit?" and I'm like, do you like listening to music? Do you like reading? She's like, "Oh, I guess I listen to music." And then I'm like, "Oh, what kind of music? I like music too." She's like, "Oh, I just play whatever's in the memory card and I listen to it." And then my sister pulled me aside and she said, "Nyogase, she's a teen mom who dropped out of school. She does not have time, nor can she afford to have a habit, let alone have a dream." And it's things like that just, it really messed with my mind, because again, I came from a position of privilege where my parents let me study music. And they said, "Your dreams are fine, you can be an actor, you can be a singer," and I did end up being that, and other things in between, but I'm living next to somebody who doesn't even have the luxury of having a habit, because they don't have the spare time to think about themselves at all. I would say that this is where community philanthropy comes in. I know that it's not the solution to everything, but just building community, making sure that you're part of a community, and recognizing that even though someone else doesn't have something monetary to bring to the table, but they have a certain source of wisdom that they can bring to the table as well. Just being able to generate and create that love in the community, create safe space with each other in the community, so that we develop a voice. And then from that, I'm an advocacy person and I'm also an activist, so when we love each other, we develop philanthropy, we stick together, we know where we can go, we know what to say, maybe we can gather the courage to say something to someone who can actually make a difference in our lives, help us make our lives better financially. But I would say that if you feel you're from a position of privilege, love somebody else enough who cannot afford to love themselves, or just who doesn't have the time to give themselves joy, so that they can take some joy from them, and you can learn something about what it means to really be living here as well, and you can build a community that's equal for everyone. I think that's what I'd say, yeah.
Can we have more questions from the audience?
It's not just USA elections, also people lose jobs.
Yes, are you speaking?
Guys, I lost my job.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you so much. Very, very well articulated conversations. My question is, speaking from an average individual, an average person, where privilege might be there, might not be there, but we're in the age where, especially us who are under 30, somewhere there, where living in the community, there is so much pressure where you need to make it life before 40, right? So there are a lot of hassles that a lot of youths there to go through in order to make it anyway. Now, my question is, finding your purpose, and I see from my perspective, from where I'm standing, like there could be a bit of a collusion between finding your purpose and the war to survive. I have to make it. But now, at the same time, I need to find my purpose. So my question is, how, like someone like me, I have an opportunity to, I have an average or not, I mean the privilege or not, but how can I still find my purpose while I've got the battle between me finding that purpose and to survive? Like I need to battle with survival. So how can I still go ahead and find my purpose? Thank you.
All right, I'll just go first and share a personal experience. And I'm going to share this. Please just take it for what it is, okay? Don't read too much into it. But there was a time when my father and I have got a very good relationship now because we went into counseling. But there was a time when my father called me a burden because I was failing to survive on my own. And I was a young person who was trying to hustle. I was selling socks, I was working a job, I was a project coordinator, but because of Forex I wasn't getting paid enough. And so I asked my parents for a little 10,000 here, a little 5,000 here. I got into debt, Zagadabila. I was in debt. When I say debt, I was in like over $1 million budget debt. And my father literally called me a burden when I went to ask him for help. And most young people feel like they're a burden when they try to go to anybody for help. You know, this is the feeling that most of us have. We're trying to hustle. We're trying to survive. But I'm telling you, there was a time in your life when you were younger, when you had a dream, and you believed in that dream so much that you knew that this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life. I knew, you know, when I was like 19 years old, that I'm gonna work in the creative field. When I was 19, when I was 7 years old, I used to tell my family, I'm going to be a psychologist and a singer. I'm not a psychologist now, but I'm working in a mental health organization, and I am a singer. I knew that since I was 7. At the age of 19, I said, you know what? I don't know how and I don't know when, but I'm going to work for UNESCO. And no matter what happened, no matter every single day that I was broke, and there would be days when I was broke, there was nothing to eat in my stomach and I couldn't go to anybody. Because I knew if I call my relatives are going to call my parents, and my parents are going to say, why are you embarrassing us? And at least I've got parents. A lot of people don't have parents to rely on. A lot of people don't have siblings to rely on. But they have to survive. See, surviving and thriving are not mutually exclusive. You have to have it in you to say, I will survive and I will get there. You have to believe in yourself and accept that the road is going to be bumpy. The road is definitely going to be bumpy. And if you want to make it, you will need psychological tools to help you to get there. Because I didn't get here because of just from sheer will. I went through therapy, I went through medication, I went through counseling, I even went to rehab. Because that struggle to survive and that inner makani of wanting to achieve my dream and living in this space, they were fighting each other so much I lost my mind. So if you are finding yourself in a space where you're about to lose your mind or it's depressing you, then this is the right place for you, where you can get that help, where you can to actually have real psychosocial mental health tools, fitness tools, referrals if you need to go and see clinical psychologists, because you can make it. It might not happen when you need to, it might not happen at the time that you wanted to, but you can make it, but you're not going to do it alone. That's what I would say from personal experience.
Thank you for that. I think this is the work that a lot of us have to do. I think these are very difficult things to say. This is what you have to do, because circumstances are different for every single person. But what I would say, earlier on I talked about the power of questions that you ask yourself. Just to add, the power of life-giving questions.
I think a lot of times when we are in a challenging situation, we ask ourselves the wrong questions. You could ask, what's wrong with me? And trust me, you're going to spend weeks, months, a year finding out what's wrong with you, right? All because the question that you ask yourself is a direction saying, go forward and find yourself things that are wrong with you, right? All that because of a question you ask yourself and it's taking you towards a certain direction. And a lot of people have gone down rabbit holes because we asked ourselves the wrong question, right? But if you say, what challenges am I facing and what can I do to overcome them? Then you start finding, you're aware of your challenges and you start seeking solutions. All because of the question that you asked yourself. So the skill of asking yourself these life-giving questions, or even to take it a further step, you can look back to a situation that you faced, that you overcame, and you say, yes, I'm in this situation now, but wait a minute, this is not the first situation that I found myself in. That time, I was in another situation. This was what I felt, this was what I did, and I overcame it. This is no different. All because of the kind of question that you ask yourself to take you towards a certain direction. So sometimes, favorable situation or not, I've seen people who would not come out of a situation, not because they don't have the capabilities to, but because they've gotten down a certain rabbit hole because of the question they ask themselves. What's wrong with me? Am I not enough? What did I do to deserve this? You know, those questions will not get you to anywhere near a solution. All they will do is dig and find out things, even things that you give yourself that were not there.
Oh, yeah.
Because the mind is a very, very dangerous place. It can also create situations or things that you give yourself and embrace and think you're this when you're not. So I think the skill of asking yourself the right questions and keeping away from those questions that will take away your peace, that will take you down a rabbit hole. We have to be very, very disciplined in our minds to take charge, not to entertain those questions, but to ask yourself those life-giving questions in a very, very intentional way. So I just wanted to share that skill, that is something that has worked for me, that even in situations, for example, losing my job was a big, big blow. But I joke about it. Not because I was not hurt, but I decided that, you know what, this happens. I'm not going to let this, I'm not going to, drown over, I'm like, what does this mean? What do I need to focus on? Those are the questions that I ask myself. And slowly I've been finding out the things that I need to focus on. And in that, finding new meaning and purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and finally, do you have any questions from this side? Yes, please, at the back. And then we'll have a quick break for coffee and we'll have Peter the poet. Is Peter here? Prince the poet. Forgive me, Prince.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is, maybe knowing someone has a problem, but how do you get them to accept help? Because we might all know someone who maybe needs help. So how do you get them to a place where they acknowledge that, okay, I have a problem and I need help? Thank you.
I don't know. Someone who only accept help when they accept.
Yep.
Yeah, when they're ready. And unfortunately, I think for you, knowing that your timeline is not their timeline, that's important. You have to have a lot of grace for them. And just continue to be there. But I think, as I say, you can't force. You can take a horse the water, force it to drink. Yeah, I don't know if there's any, but yeah,
Well, yeah, you said it well, Q. I think you can't force someone to get help. Even as my psychologists or my counselors, people they come and they say, "Well, I want you to counsel someone else. He's going through this, he's going through that." Yes, I mean it's a good thing to refer the person, but what we say is the person has to now come to us. So what I can say is that though we cannot force someone to get help, but we can still be there for them. Yeah, like what Hugh also said. I've noticed there's a lot of things that happen. Sometimes people notice that this person is not okay. For example, I can give an example. You're at work, and then you see that maybe your colleague has just come in the room. They're very quiet. They're just there on their laptop. They're not talking to anybody. But nobody's gonna be like, I say, what's wrong with you? You understand? People are just gonna go like everything is normal. You see? So that also happens even in the households as well. You see that as long as isolated, right? They go to their room, they don't talk to anybody. You see? So the important thing is that we have to be aware. For example, what's going on in their life, So that's the concept of everybody be there. It's an actual concept in mental health. We should all be there for the person who's next to us. If you notice today the person is down or ask them, Approach has to also be a good approach. In a way that is confrontational, right? A good approach would be to be respectful, to approach them and ask them where there's nobody else, for example. I mean, in this room, I can't go to, let's say, Dizzy and then be like, I see, what's wrong with you? So it's gonna be like, I can't explain because we're in this, it's a social situation. So, the environment that we put, that safe environment, we have to be the safe space for other people. So when we're the safe space of other people, that's when they can open up to us and tell us things like, maybe I'm going through this problem, this challenge. So we have to create that safe space. We have to create that safe space. Yeah. So it's not one of the key things that has to be there when we're interacting with people is that keeping that confidentiality or that privacy. If they tell us something important, we're not supposed to go and tell it to somebody else. Because if we do that, that's when they'll be like, I told him my story and now it's everywhere, So there's some people that we know that these people, when you tell them something, you'll find it everywhere. So that's not being a safe space. Being a safe space is where somebody tells you something confidential about it, you're respectful, you're open, you give them solutions, and if they can also come to counseling or mental health or mental health specialists or seek some help, some professional help. Yeah, that's what I can say.
So can I ask that? So we have a writer circle called Muse, and so it's a lot of introverts. And people say this over and over, this feels like therapy, but it's not, right? And if your friend, for example, opens up to you and you are not trained, I think there's an aspect where you have to practice a boundary on the things that you feel you can handle and the things that you need to refer. Maybe that's an opening, because at the end of the day, the end game is getting the person help, right? And it's professional help. Because I think you can be there for the person, but they need professional help. So I think, how do you set that boundary? Say, okay, I hear you, but I'm not going to get tempted to be your therapist because I'm not a professional. But I know Howard, or Hawezi, or Howard, or these guys. So I think it's maybe creating a situation where that is the pathway, and not necessarily just you being safe space, because at the end of the day, we need to get that person professional help. Because a lot of times we have these temporary feelings of,
oh, this feels like therapy, oh, this is great, and you feel that that's enough. And especially people in the creative space where you're like, oh yeah, I just need to write, I just need to perform, the stage is my therapy. We have all these things that we substitute therapy for. I think just to be mindful of those things, and also for the people who, if you're the kind of person that people open up to, unless you get the training, if there are things that you feel you cannot handle, you need to refer them. Otherwise, it's very easy, if you're not a professional, to give the wrong advice and actually make the situation even worse.
Yeah. And most importantly, it's not your duty or meaning in life to save them. You're not their Superman at the end of the day. So as much as we want to look up to the people that we love, we are not their Spider-Man, we are not their Superman, you know. We can always, we support, but we do not save, so we must refer. Everybody give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Q, Brother Q, thank you so much for giving us such a wide-flowing discussion on meaning and purpose. I think we've touched a lot of things, and as the months go by, we'll be taping these sessions monthly. So we will continue to unpack meaning and purpose in different aspects of our living, because I think this is what good well-being is about in general.